with the original Pebble kind of company, we didn't raise money at the beginning. We ended up raising $10 million on Kickstarter. And then Raj and I, have a good story about like that day of when the Kickstarter kind of clicked. I like phoned up all my friends, and Raj was the only one awake at 2:00 in the morning. And so we went to get a hamburger or a milkshake or something like that and chatted about like what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
we put together a plan like that day for, the next couple weeks of the company. So
wait, what's the exact story here? Like what time did you launch it? And then what time were you like, oh shit, this is going to be huge?
We launched at, 8 a.m. or whatever in the morning, and it just like took off. And throughout that day, it was just, I think we raised $600,000 in the first day. And we had intended to raise $100,000 through the whole 30-day campaign. So.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Founders in Arms podcast with me, Imad Akan, co-founder and CEO of Mercury.
And I'm Raj Suri, co-founder of Lima and Tribe. And today we have Eric Migicovsky, co-founder and CEO of the original Pebble. And is it called Pebble 2 again? What are you calling the new iteration?
We relaunched. We didn't get the Pebble brand back from Google. We got the IP. So it's now called Core Devices.
Core Devices. That's great.
I guess for people who don't know, Pebble was like the original smartwatch that was sold to Fitbit. Oh, that's it? Oh, nice.
That's it. Well, actually, this is one of the new ones. So.
And then how long a break did you have between like I guess you're working on Pebble initially and like now restarting?
We sold Pebble to Fitbit in 2016. So it's been a while. It's been almost 9-10 years now.
So Eric and I'm not sure if you know, Eric and I go way back. We were in undergrad together.
And, oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Literally in the same year?
He was 2 years below me. He was in my sister's class, actually, sister's year.
Yeah.
And he did systems design engineering. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which is a really cool program. Like it's an engineering program where they get to work on all these different like aspects of engineering. You do electrical, computer science, a little bit of everything, right?
Systems is the engineering program you pick if you can't pick which actual type of engineering you like and you just want to try them all.
Yeah. And it's a really cool program. And a lot of cool people come out of it, actually. So, Eric is one of them. But he was very entrepreneurial even in undergrad, and he worked with me on some entrepreneurial projects in undergrad. So
you ran a conference, right?
That's
Raj?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I started a conference in undergrad, which is like to help all engineers work on productizing and commercializing their ideas in their fourth year. And it was a very successful conference we didn't expect. It was like oversubscribed. It was like hundreds of people showing up to
Probably
this conference.
Probably a prequel to a lot of these hackathons that have popped up. Like it was a group, it was like a way for us to all, like people who were building stuff to all get together in undergrad.
Yeah. I think now it's probably very common, but back then it wasn't. It was, it was seen as something new. So Eric and I go way back. And you were working on the watch basically at the end of undergrad, right? You were tinkering on stuff at Waterloo, right?
Yeah, we used one of the labs at Waterloo to work on the precursor to Pebble. Without the actual faculty knowing. And when they did find out, I have this email that's kind of epic. It was, I think it was from, I can't remember exactly who it was in the administration, but they were like, school facilities should not be used for starting companies and that kind of thing. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is the exact thing that you want people to be doing with school facilities. And of course, within like a couple of years after that, they started Velocity. They, kind of changed their view, I think, a lot on entrepreneurship. But I remember I have this email that's kind of funny of like, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing in the lab.
Yeah, exactly. And, Imad, we had Jay Shah on here a few weeks ago. He ran Velocity, and Eric and Jay, they're both hardware founders from Waterloo, so this is like, it's a common theme.
Jay's back in hardware. It's great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was on our pod.
I guess the other theme is like entrepreneurs leaving their company after selling it and then getting back into it, because Steve did that with Reddit. What was your path, I guess? Like in between, you were a YC partner, you started another company. Yeah, like how did you come back to this?
I came back to Pebble because I had to. I think I hold the world record of being the person who's worn a smartwatch on his wrist for the longest period of time. Not continuously. There's a few days, here and there over the last 15 years where I didn't wear one, but effectively, I think for the last 15 or 16 years, I've worn a smartwatch. And I designed Pebble originally to be the product that I dreamed of. This was what I wanted. And when Pebble ceased to exist as a company in 2016, there was a period of time where, I had a box full of Pebbles that I had exfiltrated from the company, and I, worked my way through them. Turns out, nothing lasts forever. Like batteries die after 10 years. Buttons wear out, everything,
So how many
hardware.
different Pebble watches have you had?
Probably in the 20 to 30.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And not everyone is lucky as lucky as I am to have a box like that. And so I think, people, there's still some Pebbles going strong after 15 years, but, inevitably things break, you smash them. And so I had to try other smartwatches. I had to play the field. I had to try an Apple Watch. I had to try a Pixel Watch just to see if it would be an adequate replacement for what I loved about Pebble.
And none of them did it?
None of them did it.
Is it just the e-ink thing? Like, what was the thing that was missing?
It's a couple things. So the first thing is the way that I use a smartwatch is primarily as a watch. It needs to tell the time. It also needs to vibrate when I get a new notification or an email or a call or whatever. And I like controlling music from my watch. Like if, I've got AirPods in, I like being able to physically reach down to my wrist and press a button, a physical button to be able to play, pause, skip track, that kind of thing. So what I need is an always on screen. So a screen that will like always be visible. I need to be able to tell the time. It has to have a long battery life. I don't like the idea of having another thing to charge. Like we already have enough things that we worry about charging in our lives. I don't want yet another thing. And so Pebble always had a long battery life. It was 7 days. It doesn't have to do that much. Like I love my phone. I always have my phone with me. I never leave the house without my phone. So I don't need my watch to do everything. I don't need it to do payments. I don't need it to do run tracking or, cycle tracking. I have my phone for that when I need to. I don't need it to play music. So I need it to tell the time, show notifications, have a long battery life, be daylight visible. So like I don't want a screen that kind of washes out when you're outside under direct sunlight. And I love that Pebble is hackable. We had 20,000 apps on the App Store. And I just loved being able to go on the Pebble App Store and download a new watch face or, see what other people had built for it. And I looked at, all of these different products and not a single one checked all of these boxes. Garmin came the closest. Have you tried the Garmin watches? They use a similar...
Actually, I have a Fitbit watch on. I do.
Yeah.
So this one actually lasts for about 14 days, but because it just doesn't have a screen visible, like you have to click to get anything to show up, and it doesn't work at all in the sun. So those two things are frustrating. But I really do like the step tracking. So I kind of disagree with you about step tracking.
So we've got step track, we've got basic step tracking, sleep tracking. But me personally, once I knew how many steps I walked per day, I don't really check it again. And so it's
just a bit of motivation.
It's actually a good point. Like in this relaunch of Pebble, I'm not explicitly building for anyone except for myself.
Yeah. Are you also explicitly not trying to make this VC backable? Like this is like going to be just like a bootstrapped hardware startup?
That's a major lesson that I learned. Like I wrote this blog post 10 years after, our first Kickstarter, kind of reminiscing / retroactively looking at what happened. And I think one of the lessons that I learned is that when you're on a venture-backed path, it's almost like a train track. Like it goes in one direction and there's various stops that you have to make. But in general, like you have to follow the path. With the original Pebble kind of company, we didn't raise money at the beginning. We ended up raising $10 million on Kickstarter. And then Raj and I, have a good story about like that day of when the Kickstarter kind of clicked. I like phoned up all my friends and Raj was the only one awake at 2:00 in the morning. And so we went to get a hamburger or a milkshake or something like that and chatted about like what the hell just happened.
Yeah,
and we put together a plan like that day for, the next couple weeks of the company. So
Wait, what's the exact story here? Like, what time did you launch it, and then what time were you like, oh shit, this is going to be huge?
We launched at 8 a.m. or whatever in the morning, and it just like took off. And throughout that day, it was just, I think we raised $600,000 in the first day. And we had intended to raise $100,000 through the whole 30-day campaign. So I think like night...
Did you do something to make it successful, or just like caught people's attention?
It's one of those 5-year overnight successes. So I had been working on smartwatches since 2008, and I had gone through a couple different iterations. And eventually we got to Pebble. And at that point, we still didn't have any VC backing. I had a few investors who were, very generous, but probably, out of their mind at that point.
And you were YC, right? YC 2011?
And we'd
right?
gone through YC,
Yeah. But YC was not a big deal in 2011. Like that was just like,
that was a big deal for us. I mean, it was the reason why we moved from Canada.
But like now you do YC and you get 500K from them and like pretty much 2 or 3 million guaranteed.
You got $20,000.
Yeah, exactly.
For 7% of the company. So anyone who complains about the current deal, I'm like, guys, it's a good deal.
All right, so you have this like, I guess I wanted to ask, like, was there like a marketing trick that made that 600K work, or was it just like, it was so exciting to people because it just had like a really good product?
There was no trick. Like, I mean, there were a few things that I think we did well. We were very clear about what our product was. Like, if you can go back to Kickstarter and see exactly what we wrote on the page, and it just said like Pebble e-paper smartwatch for Android and iPhone. Here's the 3 or 4 things that it did. Here's how much it costs. Here's a couple pictures of it. Here's some video. We didn't like have this full marketing. Like I didn't pay anyone to record the video. I filmed it myself using a camera that I borrowed from another YC founder. The people in the video were my friends / interns. And it wasn't this big, nowadays people put like 50K or 100K into the launch of their Kickstarter campaign. I think we really shot from the heart. This was a product that we ourselves wanted. We built it for ourselves, and we just described it as if there were other people like us who wanted to buy it.
The video was very authentic. The video was very genuine.
Yeah. But it was also very unusually ambitious for a Kickstarter. I think that's also what got people excited. They were like, oh shit.
Kickstarter was also very new. And so we benefited. I think like the trick, though we didn't know about this before we did it, was that there was this undercurrent story of Kickstarter. We were the first big, gigantic Kickstarter campaign. And so not only did the press talk about Pebble, the smartwatch, they also talked about Kickstarter, the idea. And that just was gigantic for us. And that's what Raj and I don't know if you remember, talked about that first day. His advice to me was, make this into a story. Make this into a big thing that people could talk about and get behind, and spend the time to nurture that, rather than, I think we were talking like the decision point that I remember was, should I fly to China like that day and start manufacturing it? Because I was like, holy shit, we have to build all these watches. Like,
yeah, that's right.
I didn't know how to do it. I'd never done it before. And so I was like, should I fly to China and start getting production going? Then Raj's advice was, no, like you have this lightning in a bottle, spend 2 or 3 weeks just focusing energy towards this Kickstarter campaign. And so instead of flying to China, I flew to New York and did the circuit of, morning shows, talk show. Like I just, for the first time ever, started doing PR, and that paid off in spades because we got a New York Times article. We just did a ton of press, and every time there was a press hit, the numbers went up. And that in turn fueled more press because they talked about the number going up. And so it was just this virtuous cycle.
Absolutely. That was that was a really special moment in time. And I think I mean, the other thing was like everyone thought Apple would eventually do a watch, right? And you were the first to it, right? So there's this competitive tension that also got the media thinking about this, right? People realized that was the next screen, right? Like we had the iPhone, the iPad, and now someone's talking about the watch. And so I think that was really good. I think you did really well at that time. I mean, that was like a really important inflection, not only for Pebble, but also your career, right, as an entrepreneur, right? Getting that viral moment for a consumer company and a consumer founder is really important, right? At Lyft, we had those moments too, and yeah.
We were lucky in that we had that chance to have a moment, but I think we'd done a lot of work to get there. And more importantly, we had done YC, and I was able to phone up people like you and other, people in the YC network and immediately get help when that moment struck.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really powerful. This 5-year overnight success. I mean, I want to touch on this point because like a lot of people have the wrong impression about consumer companies. People assume like there is this really false narrative in the Valley that people like you make a consumer product and it either hits or doesn't. And then if it doesn't hit, you just like give up and move on to something else. And like that hasn't been true for Lyft. That wasn't true for Pebble. That wasn't true for anything that, that I've really worked on. Dropbox is a counterexample. They made it, they put it on product on Hacker News and it just blew up, right? And Facebook is also another counterexample. But I think there's a lot of companies that just take a long time, before they reach the right time, or right place, right time, sort of thing.
The other thing that I've kind of reflected on is that I think I'm more of an inventor than a founder. Like I came up with the idea for Pebble, not necessarily to be a company, but because I truly wanted that product. And I think the difference in my mind is that a founder will kind of stop at nothing to make their company fantastically successful, right? And that potentially means changing the product to better suit the market or the product goals or the monetary goals of the company. But in my case, like I remember having those walking meetings with PG, office hours with PG, where he was like, is there, things weren't going well. This was before Pebble. And he was like, could you do something else? Could you make software? Could you make some other type of hardware? Like, is there anything else you could do? Because clearly it's not working today. And I don't know if I said no to his face because that's, harder to do, but it wasn't in my heart. Like I wanted to build this product and I wasn't going to stop. And even if it wasn't successful, like that didn't really feel bad to me because I was building what I wanted.
I think a lot of successful founders are also like great inventors. Like they really care about the thing that they're building and are building it for themselves, right? Like, do you really see that as like a separate things, like
No,
an inventor?
They're not exclusive, but I definitely see that there's some founders, especially ones that go through YC, that are a little bit more driven by, they'll try many different ideas and see what sticks. Yep. They'll be more willing to build for someone who isn't themselves as the primary customer. Like I can't do that. I can't really put myself in the shoes of someone else as easily.
Yeah, I think there are different types of founders. I think, there are creative founders who will do anything it takes to build a successful business, and they're flexible about the product. And there's founders who are maniacal about a specific vision, right? Which you are, right? Like a very specific vision. I feel like I am in that camp too, honestly. Like, and I think that is to my detriment in some ways too. So like there is a real downside to doing it that way. Like I can point to like restaurant tech. We had the opportunity to do something like Toast, right? Back at Presto days, right? We could have changed we had this idea for a tablet on every table so guests could order and pay, but we knew that restaurants also had a problem with point of sale, and we were there even before Toast, but I didn't want to change the product. So like I wanted this specific product to exist because that's what I wanted to use, right? But at Toast, actually,
I don't like talking to waiters and waitresses. I just want a button.
I don't want to wait. Not like I don't like talking to them. Some of them, are fun to talk to, but it's like I just don't want to wait for them. And and Toast actually came to the idea for a similar direction. Like they came to the idea like, oh yeah, we want a better experience, but then they're like, oh, restaurants don't have a good POS system. Let me build that instead. And I was like, that's such a boring product. I would never build it, So.
Yeah, boring product. So many people already doing it. Why even bother? Yeah, that is kind of funny. Yeah. So what's the story of this kind of you getting Google to kind of open source the software so you can build like hardware? Like how did you go and negotiate that?
So I'd always knew that I would veer back towards Pebble because, between 2016 and 2025, I tried all these different watches and nothing fit. And so I was like, fuck, like, I guess I have to go back and make another product because at some point my last Pebble is going to bite the dust. And so I needed a smartwatch. The problem about making hardware, and I'm sure Raj, you can commiserate on this, is that hardware these days is mostly software. The actual hardware is relatively easy to build. Say for a smartwatch, there's no R&D needed. Like you got a circuit board, you've got a display module, you got some sensors.
But was it different in 2011? Like,
Yes, it was different.
You needed to do more.
You needed to do a bit more. It still wasn't rocket science, but we had to teach the contract manufacturers a bit more about how to build it. Since no one was building smartwatches,
But is it partly easier
iterate.
because of all the things like you're just
Yes.
going back to the same factory and you're going to the same people?
Primarily, it's because the factories are already set up to do this. Like when we were starting, electronic factories didn't do waterproof testing because there were no electronic products, kind of consumer products that were waterproof. And smartwatches were really the first, even before smartphones, were the first products that you would buy that were waterproof. And so we had to set that up on the assembly line. But now every factory has a waterproof testing setup. So it was relatively easy to build the hardware. The problem is that there's no off-the-shelf software that runs on the type of smartwatch that I was building. There's, Android Wear or Google Wear or whatever, but that's more like an Android operating system that they crammed into a form factor on your wrist. And that's not what, remember the specs that I wanted? That's not what I wanted out of a smartwatch. And so there is no off-the-shelf software that you could just download and use and run on the kind of watch platform that I was building. And so I thought, I love Pebble. I love the operating system. I've been using it for the last 9 years now. There hasn't been any software updates. It's the same software that we built in 2016. And it works. It works damn well. And it does exactly the things that I want out of it. And I knew that if I was to restart Pebble, I would want the same features. And I thought about the pain of building that software. It took us 3 or 4 years, 20-person team to work on it and to build it and to kind of craft it. The proposition of trying to do that again from scratch was very large, much harder than the hardware, probably 10 times harder than building the hardware or more. And that's why I never did it. I just always hopefully someone will make another smartwatch that I like. Then in 2024, I was chatting. I can't remember who I was chatting with. I was at a birthday party. It was one of my kids' schoolmate's birthday party. And I was chatting with a Googler who worked on the Fitbit acquisition. And he was pitching me on this idea. He was like, yeah, you should just go to like a Google VP and just ask them to open source it. You never know what they'll say. Maybe they'll say no, maybe they'll say yes. And it was a great idea. I did that. And they said yes.
Wow. It's a Silicon Valley story, right?
Now, it took a year to work its way through the Google checkboxes.
But why did they say yes? Like, what did they get out of it? They're just like, Eric's asking, he's a good dude.
I mean, you'd have to interview the Google guys. I don't know exactly what their logic was, but I could imagine, remember 2024 was just after Beeper Mini. So Beeper Mini was an app that I made that allowed Android users to send and receive iMessages from Android, right? And that was, mind-bogglingly cool for Android users and for Google, because iMessage is one of the biggest limiting factors for people switching from iPhone to Android, right? Like, you got your blue bubble.
So you were like a hero at Google briefly.
I think that I had fought the good fight on behalf of Android.
You were very public in also criticizing Apple too.
Oh, yeah,
you
true.
have basically forced congressional reviews of Apple's practices. Let's not minimize that, right?
This was about a month after the DOJ sued Apple on our behalf as well. So
Yeah.
I think I had built up a little bit of karma.
Did that get dropped, by the way, or is that still going?
No, it's still going.
Still going.
I mean, I think
Slow
what
moving,
Apple,
but going.
I mean, this is a massive tangent, but what Apple did there was so obviously against consumer interest and a monopolistic move. I cannot believe that they have gotten away with it so far.
Well, so there's actually 2 pieces of that DOJ case that are related to products that I made. So one of the 5 items that they sued them over was Beeper Mini, iMessage, the fact that they had closed off this entire kind of platform network. And the second one was smartwatches. So Apple has gone out of their way to make it difficult for third-party smartwatch vendors to deliver a similar level of experience that the Apple Watch has when it's paired with an iPhone, and the DOJ sued them over that as well. And so, yeah,
Oh, really?
we'll see how that goes.
All your companies are going to benefit from DOJ.
Are you persona non grata at Apple? Are you ever going to be invited to a meeting?
I don't get regular WWDC invites.
Yeah, I can imagine.
What is the thing that an Apple Watch can do that like the new core watch will not be able to do? Is there one thing that you're like, oh, it's so annoying, we can't do this?
The primary thing is that on your Apple Watch, you can reply to notifications with your voice or by tapping on the screen. And that is not, there's no API that's provided to third parties to do that.
Oh, that's interesting. And they have the API since they use it internally. So.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, both the EU and the US are investigating Apple for this. The EU actually issued a ruling in March under this regulatory framework called the DMA, the Digital Markets Act. And they mandated that Apple provide third-party access to sending and receiving notifications, just like the Apple Watch has. Apple sued the EU 2 weeks ago. So,
yeah.
So it's remarkable because now there's also a bunch of YC founders working at Apple too, like Robbie Walker, who we probably know, right?
Robbie was with Daniel, right?
Yeah, he was a co-founder. He also did another company before Zentor with Wayne Crosby, right? Sold to Google, but Apple's culture is still very old school. Probably Tim Cook led. Yeah.
I mean, and then the world's kind of fun. Like when you have the daring fireball guy bad-mouthing Apple, like you've gone a bit too far down the black hole.
Yeah, the AI stuff is lame. How do you feel when you kind of go fight like these big companies? Like, do you feel energized by that? Do you find it draining?
Well, I don't do it on purpose. First of all, there's no career arc where I'm just like trying to bang my head against Apple. No, I'm a consumer guy, so I love building consumer products for myself. Like, I am not personally an enterprise. Like, I am a walking, talking person, not an enterprise. And so I build products for myself. And Apple generally builds products for consumers, right? There's not too many other companies in the world that bother to just make pure, great consumer products. And so I guess inevitably we're targeting the same group of people.
Mm-hmm.
What's your model for the new core device? Like, how are you going to solve some of the problems that you had with the first Pebble with this new kind of business model?
Yeah, so completely different model. I think core is a means to an end. It's a vehicle for me to use to build gadgets that I personally want. Like, I want a smartwatch. I'm going to build a smartwatch. Core is the mechanism that I'm using to build that. There's only I only have 3 colleagues at Core, so it's a very, very small company. There's no VC backing. I've self-funded it so far.
Don't you need a certain scale with hardware though? Like, don't you need to produce like 100,000 of these for it to work?
We're going to build 100,000 with 3 people at the company.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you do a Kickstarter? Did you do like a pre-order campaign?
A pre-order campaign, yeah. So I posted it on our website. 25,000 so far.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, and that's enough scale to like do this at a reasonable unit cost.
Absolutely. I was targeting 5,000. So 5,000, the way that I'm kind of setting up things is, I think that, not to toot my own horn, but I think I could sell 5,000 of anything. Like, I believe that I'm not unique in this world, that there's other people that have a close enough kind of
as long as you love
it. As long as I love it.
Yeah.
As long as I'm honest with myself. I think I think you nailed it. Like, if I were lying to myself and I made a product that I didn't like using, I might not be able to sell that many. But if I truly made something that I myself not only wanted, but also liked once I got it, I think I'm not too overconfident in thinking that I could sell 5,000 of something. And so I've set up the ROI for each project that I'm working on to be ROI positive or neutral at 5,000 units sold.
And when you say all these devices, is it just like different versions of a watch? I mean, I know you've got two so far.
Watches so far, yeah.
Okay. But it's different versions of a watch. You're not going to start doing glasses or some other form factor.
I did tweet out a picture of a circuit board last week that has no explanation and no other clues. Yeah.
But Eric, one thing that's really powerful about this new model is like, you don't have to get a bunch of inventory, right? Like that's really a killer for a lot of hardware companies, is that they have to start having to buy inventory for like Christmas. Ooh. And if they don't do that, they lose sales, and then the VCs stop backing them, and then they go out of business.
Surely after this.
So we're doing pre-orders.
But that's just the initial thing, right? Like, aren't you going to keep selling it afterwards?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead. So for the for the first product, we actually are capped at building 10, 12,000 of it. The reason why is, let me see if I could show you the other cool part about my podcast studio. Okay, so here's my overhead.
You have a button to switch?
Yeah, here. So this is Core 2 Duo. It's showing backwards on the screen, but I think it's correct for you.
Yeah,
guys.
no, it's good. We can see it. It's good.
So this is actually the front housing from a Pebble 2, which is the watch that we made in 2016. And we were able to find a warehouse that had purchased, when we went under or when we sold to Fitbit, they had purchased some of our work in progress inventory. Do you remember WIP, Raj, like WIP?
Mm-hmm.
And so they had bought partially assembled Pebble 2 watches
Okay.
and held it in their warehouse for like fucking 8 years.
Wow. No
They
way.
probably paid
12,000 of these?
Yeah, they paid pennies on the dollar, right? Like they're like, well, you never know what happens. Like, and 8 years later, I went to them and I was like, could I buy those from you? And so I bought them.
That's
And
crazy.
so what we did is we created a new circuit board that would fit into the back of this existing kind of frame.
How much
watch
did they sell the 12,000 cases for you?
I think we paid like under what we had manufactured them for. I think half of what we manufactured them for. So
Nice.
it was a fine deal. Everyone made money. Everyone was happy. And I was happy because I didn't have to build this housing. And so that's why I was able to go from, we announced this product I announced that we would begin making this in January and we'll start shipping in July. So
Wow.
5 months, which is crazy for a hardware project, but it's mostly because we already had 12,000 of these cases, sitting around.
So you got like the software for free. You got the housing for free.
But going back to this idea, like I really wanted, and why we could do it with 3 people, like I really wanted to reduce the risk, to reduce the, chance that this wouldn't work out. Because I wasn't interested in having, like, Pebble peaked at having 180 employees. Right.
It's a lot to manage.
Yeah, it was a lot to manage. And I think, again, for me, the company was a means to an end. Like I loved building the product. Building the company was not my favorite part about doing all this. And, getting the chance to do this again, I really want to work on the things that I want to work on. Like I'm very lucky that I can be at this point in my life where I can decide what I want to work on intentionally. And again, I wouldn't change anything about the first Pebble run. Like I loved it. It was amazing. I got to work with fantastic people and it was a great run. We had a hell of a ride. But this time around, I can kind of actively make a decision and say, this is the part of building a company, building a product that I love working on. I want to do that. And to your point about like, well, what about after we sell the first 10,000? Like, do we build more of them? Do we get inventory? And I just have already decided like, no, I don't want to go into retail. I don't want to build a lot of inventory. I don't want to have distributors. I don't want to have salespeople. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to build the product,
It's going to be
post
like
it on my website.
artisanal, like low limit kind of like hardware. That's cool.
Sure. And I want to see
Yeah.
if that works because I don't know many people. I don't even know if this model, like we'll do a follow-up in like a year and you could see if any of this has actually worked out. Because if it has, it could be a pretty cool model for other people who are similar to me. Like they have an idea, they want to build a particular product, but they aren't looking to change the world. Like I'm not trying to, build this into some juggernaut or some like alternative to Apple Watch. I don't really care. Like if you want an Apple Watch, buy an Apple Watch. If you want a Pebble, buy one of these.
Right. Yeah, I think the scenario might occur where it's like so popular that like you have to do this and you have the funds to do it as well, like get inventory. That's a great scenario. That means you're doing something right, and I think that's the right time to do it, right? The wrong time to do it is when you have to raise a bunch of VC money and then buy inventory with that.
With
it's very
that VC
expensive
money,
capital to buy
exactly.
inventory with, right?
Yeah.
And then it doesn't sell, you're screwed. Like you're out, the founder is the one left high and dry in that scenario, right?
Yes.
And so like,
I'm sure there's an entrepreneur out there that is willing to take the inventory risk and do the retail stuff and like
sure,
all
if
that.
you're out there and you're watching
I wonder
this
if you could just
podcast,
pass them the thing. You're
sure,
like, hey,
tweet at me. My DMs are open.
give me a royalty, deal with the headache.
If you want to go and deal with all of this bullshit, sure, be my guest. But like, I'm not going to do it.
But Iman, the thing is, like, so many founders have struggled in the last 15 years with that model, right? And like, I would not advise that for any founder working on consumer hardware. Like Jawbone, Fitbit itself has struggled a lot, like
even what's the bike company? Peloton. Even Peloton.
Yeah.
They had a $2 billion write down after the pandemic.
Yeah.
So like I had that at a small scale. Like I had a $20 million write down on, inventory that didn't sell, right? Like Raj, I'm sure you have a story of X whatever. They did it at 2 billion. So it shows that like there's this pitfall.
Wait, what went wrong with this?
Every stage.
What this $20 million inventory? Like, why didn't it sell?
It's 2015. Okay. So teleport back to 2015. Things are going great. So our revenue numbers were $10 million in 2012, $30 million in 2013, $60 million in 2014. And we thought we were going to double. So we had, or just about double. So we had projected, I think it was like 100 mil in 2015. And if you're a hardware company in retail, like we were in Amazon, Best Buy, Target, wherever, you have to build inventory ahead of time. So you have to make a guess, you have to make a projection and say, well, I think this Christmas season where you sell 50% of your, dollars or more, we think we're going to sell $50 million worth of product. And so we build, inventory to meet that projected demand. And then the numbers start ticking through and you get daily, weekly summaries of every single Best Buy retail location. And I don't know about you guys, but like I've never seen a revenue projection graph that's correct. Not even close.
Yeah. But this is brutal. Like you're trying to hit these numbers. You're sitting on this like
and it's
inventory.
not software where you can scale up infinitely for free or scale down, if things aren't working well. We were stuck at so I think we did $80 million in sales in 2015.
Which is great.
Which sounds
like to
great.
go from 60 to 80 is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic, but it wasn't 100. And so we didn't have $20 million worth of inventory because there's, I think we probably had $10 million or some like of our hard costs that we had outlaid that we owed to the factory and they were going to collect, or try to collect. And so that was 2015 and it was Christmas 2015. Nothing like it felt very hard. I probably phoned, I don't even remember, but Raj we had just moved to Redwood City and Raj was around the corner then with his company. And so we probably, I don't even remember, probably had some painful moments there. So like, the company was still, and we were hiring on a projection, hiring on a curve that had matched kind of our, revenue rates, like logical.
Yeah, and
right?
you probably locked in a bunch of costs for the next year as well.
Locked in a bunch of costs, had already put the plan. We had just moved to a fancy new office. Yeah, had 180 people on staff. And, that's that 20 mil swing is all of your profit and a lot of your kind of runway for the next year.
Yeah. Plus it makes it impossible to raise at that point. Like
impossible to raise, and our supply chain is full of inventory, which means that if we wanted to launch our next products, they would first have to fire sale off the old product, which would then piss off the new customers. They're like, I just bought this like older one. Why would I buy a new one? So there's no end in sight of problems. And so that was 2015.
Yeah, and you miss a little bit and you get this huge pain, right? Like that's why consumer hardware is so hard. And like, I think that Eric's really had a really interesting model to solve that problem.
I think it's particularly tricky when there's the software component and like this isn't like, selling something to babies and there's always the X number of babies. Like this is, there's a kind of like a fatty consumer component to hard.
So that was another realization. We were in a hits-driven business.
Yeah.
We weren't just selling exactly a tool that you use every year and there's more people who want that tool. We had to have a hit in order to sell. Like our peak sales were like the month of the launch and Christmas. There were no other peaks. Like the rest of the year was just kind of flat or average.
This also reminds me, like when Steve Jobs came back to Apple, like he was way more conservative financially the second time around, like way more conservative. And like, because he was scared, about like these products not being a hit. So he bought much less inventory.
Fewer products too. Yeah. He launched fewer products. Like they had one product in each quadrant.
That's right. And it took him like 5 years to get the iPod out again. But like even the iMac runs were very, and the balance sheet of Apple was very healthy throughout the whole run, which is very different from Next and also, the first Apple, where there was a lot of chaos because of one of his products wasn't a hit, right? The Lisa or another one was a failure.
Even the Mac didn't sell as many as, they were hoping for, right?
Initially,
it was a beautiful, amazing product, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, this is just also learning for all consumer hardware.
Is it in general just better to be sold out than have too much inventory? Like you just always want to like just produce less than you need?
If you can sustain the company on that. And so, for this time around, I'm thinking, what is sustainable?
Mm-hmm.
I want this company to be around a long time. And so what does sustainability look for in terms of, paying 3 people's salary? Paying for this inventory, paying for support, being able to do warranty support for people after the product ships.
I'm going to have to ask this because otherwise I feel like I haven't done my duty. I kind of feel like the future of wearables is AI and like easy access to, an LLM or whatever. Are you just completely out on that kind of thesis?
Suhail's after me. He's like, yeah, it seems like it's logical that there'll be this, computer on your body that mediates AI or is
maybe that's just through
output.
the AirPods though, and those just connect to the phone. The phone does seem like the most obvious medium for it, but
you still need the in and out, right? And it is beautiful to have ChatGPT, on your wrist. There's a ChatGPT Gemini app for Pebble, and so I use that pretty often.
Can you talk to it using an AirPod?
Yeah. No, it has a microphone on.
It's got a microphone on the watch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's quite convenient to be able to say like, hey, what's this fact or whatever, and it just tells you.
But it doesn't speak it out. It just has a display.
The next one, this one actually does have a speaker, so we added a speaker specifically for AI.
Is it clear enough?
It's tinny and crappy. It's not going to play music. I mean, you could play music, but it's not going to sound amazing. But for getting ChatGPT answers, it's great.
Oh, that is cool.
I was actually using ChatGPT a lot in my trip to China, and for translation and stuff like that, and just asking
VPN.
it. VPN. That's right. You have to use VPN. And yeah, it's still remarkably not great. I think like from a cloud perspective, as you said, right? Like you really need on-device AI, I think, to have a good
when you're in a VPN in China, you've not given it the best circumstances.
Should be using DeepSeek. DeepSeek's fast.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm probably not, he's giving the best environment. But I mean, you still need much better consistency even in those environments.
Did you have the Ray-Bans? Did you try the Chinese to English translation through the Ray-Bans?
I have not tried the Ray-Ban. My prescription is too strong for this, but
I haven't tried it yet. I got them the next trip to China. I'm going to try to wear them because that would be fantastic. So Raj, I don't know about you, but my Chinese is terrible. And I can understand a few words here and there, but I would love to have someone whisper in my ear, like, here's the translation of what's going on around you.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping it would happen. And like even with the ChatGPT, like I would just even in like a Wi-Fi environment, controlled environment, I kept ChatGPT open while my relatives would talk to me in Chinese. And like, it was a really bad experience still. Like I was surprised, like the demos you see on AI, like on OpenAI stuff, they're very controlled demos. They don't
the
work
multi-person speaking thing just completely breaks the voice stuff right now.
Yeah, and there's any background noise, it screws it up. ChatGPT also just forgets to like translate things. I had a really bad experience actually, but I mean, it worked in a very controlled environment. Like if they spoke, then it translates, and then you speak, and it works for like 2 or 3 back and forth, and then it stops working. Like it still needs a lot of work. I still have to rely on my own Chinese way more than I would have liked.
Maybe next time try the Meta.
I actually have one more thing I want to talk to both of you guys about because it's a bit related to like big question stuff, like or big company stuff. Like this Meta deal with Scale AI, like it's a big announcement. I mean, I've never seen a deal like this recently. It seems like Meta's 4th big swing at like an acquisition. They have Instagram, WhatsApp. They acquired Oculus. and now Scale. I mean, this is like a huge deal. Scale is a YC company, right? Like, were you there YC at that time, Eric?
No.
You just came after, yeah.
1 year later. Too bad.
What do you guys think about this deal? Like, he's acquiring like a YC founder to run, like, he's willing to pay $15 billion.
I'm actually, and maybe I don't know if I just haven't read into it or the details are just scant, but like it's a 49% kind of ownership. So is the Scale team really going to be part of Meta and run something at Meta, or they're just running independently and like Meta just owns 49% of the future?
I think this is the way acquisitions are done now to avoid DOJ scrutiny. It's like you. So I don't know exactly what the terms would reach out to. You're right, 49%. What does that mean? But I think basically the Scale team is working at Meta, and Alexander's leading their AI.
Because remember, OpenAI also had a 49% investment
Microsoft.
from Microsoft, and obviously they've stayed independent. Microsoft actually just pulled off an amazing deal there. Like no one talks about it, but like that was $1 billion, right, for 49%.
And they were very close to having Sam too. Like they were, inches away from Sam being a Microsoft employee.
I think the whole thing is a little weird. I feel like if they really wanted to acquire Scale, like presumably under the Trump administration, they could probably have pulled it off. I mean, this is not at all like a monopolistic move, right? It's not like they own something. I don't really know why they would have been blocked from it. I feel like there's something else going on that like is not clear. But yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, but the stories coming out are all like they want Alexander to lead their AI effort, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that's what they're. I mean, it's basically to acquire him. Like it feels like, which is not unprecedented. I mean, like Google recently. Paul Buide was on this podcast and he talked about Noam Shazir being bought back to Google. Who, he was at Google for many years.
But that was cheap. That was only $1 billion.
It was $3 billion. Yeah. And they acquired Character.ai's assets or something like that.
But from my understanding, Scale is like a serious business. Like they make more than $1 billion a year in revenue, and like this is not just like a talent acquisition for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Wasn't Scale the one that did the RLHF for OpenAI?
Yes, they do a lot of the labeling and the human kind of feedback for these things. Not just for OpenAI. I think that like everyone basically uses them.
Yeah.
But it's right. Like, what is the strategic benefit for Meta to like own that? Like, it's like they can always buy those services. Like, are they gonna make it so OpenAI can't get access to Scale? Like, it's like it is a little bit of a weird. Maybe it is, as you say, just to get Alexander to like run Llama or something.
It could be a panic buy because like Llama's been doing so bad, right? Like, you feel like Meta's kind of falling behind on the AI front. And Apple and Meta are both falling behind in some ways, right? And it's kind of ironic because Facebook and Zuck have been working on AI for many years, even before like Google and even Apple, like before OpenAI. So,
do you think Anthropic just like refuses to sell because I think they're only 60 or 70 billion, right? And the last valuation, like that's cheap for Meta. I mean, especially if they're willing to buy something for 30 billion, that's like not as direct. But maybe Anthropic's just like refusing to sell to anyone.
Maybe, yeah. They're mission driven, right? They left OpenAI because of like they wanted, be a better OpenAI.
It is kind of interesting. Like there's probably like no amount of money that would like convince them to sell, right? Because I mean, I'm sure they've taken enough secondaries to be like pretty self-sufficient.
It's interesting to be an investor in that company because you have to think about that as you're investing alongside a founder who doesn't want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but from an investor perspective, you really want it to be $1 trillion company, right? Like it might be worth it that they like stick at it and like figure out how to go public and be $1 trillion company. But yeah, it's not. I mean, actually, probably for the investors, it's probably not that hard to get secondaries if you're an early investor in Anthropic. So like, the whole world has like changed where these private companies have like, I mean, Mercury's not that big, only 3.5 billion valuation compared to these Anthropics of the world at least. And it's pretty easy to get a secondary in Mercury. Like there's plenty of people that want to buy and want to sell. So it's like, it's not like back in the day where the only liquidity was going public or exiting.
Do founders have to approve secondary for all of those transactions, or how does that work at that stage?
If it's preferred shares, then generally speaking, companies don't have the right to block. If it's ex-employees selling, companies again, I mean, this is again company dependent. We don't set it up so we can block, but we can ROFR.
ROFR, it's a common one. I
so
think most companies are ROFR.
But for preferred, there's just a market you could sell it.
Yes, we don't even have the right to ROFR. But I mean, definitely other companies are restrictive. Like my view on it is, why be restricted? Like if people have shares, I think it's like beneficial to have like liquidity, and that creates more value for the shares. But yeah, some founders are very anti-secondaries, which I kind of get a little bit. I think actually it hurts in this one circumstance, which is unobvious, where like if your company is not that hot, but you're trying to like get a primary round done, like if you really need to raise money, if there's a secondary market where they're like, you can pick up shares for cheap, then it's actually like hard to get a primary together because you're like,
for pricing
at a higher
at least,
valuation.
yeah.
And the secondary market, the way that secondary market sets prices for like a small private company is completely ridiculous. Like these people literally, like both the buyer and seller literally know nothing about the company. And they're like, I don't know what the revenue of this company is, but I'm still going to like try to sell these shares and like, I'm going to buy them. It's really actually a weird system.
Yeah, I think the concern would be if people are dumping, right, in secondary markets, and then it'd be hard to do any kind of round, and it hurt the perception of the company as well, right?
Yeah,
because if it's an uncontrolled market, because even like public companies are controlled, like you cannot just like they might even be more controlled than private markets.
But how do you control things in a public company? I thought the whole point is you just sell things on like E-Trade or Robinhood.
No. It's there's a bunch of rules around selling. Especially if you have like called material non-public information, MNPI. You cannot sell, right? So, and what companies do, what founders do, and like boards do, is they make sure as many people have MNPI as they could possibly, manage. So make it restricted for them to sell.
So you like sign an NDA and you deliberately give non-public information?
That's that's people. That's the advice people give you when you're public. Is like,
no way.
Try to restrict people from selling because it increases the value of the stock.
Like, right? What if I just tweet that out? Does everyone get implicated?
No, because that's public.
Okay, too bad.
Yeah, tweeting public.
Well, give me an example, Raj, of like a non-public information you'd like give an investor just to like create this kind of lockup.
It's very much a gray area.
You could send it. Here's the new products that we're working on over the next year.
Yeah, it could be a product. It could be a customer deal, right? Like you're about to sign something, or it's like getting close, right? It could be anything
financial related. So are there
financial
public
related.
investors that like deliberately avoid companies then? Like they avoid talking to management companies so they don't get any public information?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's like such a weird incentive. I'd never thought of that.
It's very different. Yeah, like if you get it from like, this thing about VCs not signing NDAs and like getting your information, like that is very different in public markets because if someone gives you information, even without NDAs don't matter. If someone gives you the information in a meeting, you cannot trade on that stock, like or you can go to jail, right? It's like insider trading. And the only way for you to trade after that is that you have to be cleansed. There's a technical term, cleansed of that information. That means the company has to announce it publicly.
Oh, the company has to announce it.
Yeah.
But so you have these meetings and like they're trying to track every bit of non-public information they get so that later on they can cleanse themselves. Like, do they have lawyers sitting on these meetings? No.
Investors ask you to not share MNPI during meetings. Like share,
I see.
But so you're like have to like skirt around, this sort of definition of MNPI. So like no financial data, no customer data,
But this is a reason I think hedge funds often do have like lawyers sit in on these meetings just to track what's being shared, right? Like I think that's a thing, right? Or compliance folk or something.
People have lawyers everywhere when you're a public company. Like there's lawyers on your side, lawyers on their side. It's like you're surrounded by lawyers. And also like all these messaging services, like WhatsApp and stuff, like they're actually actively monitored as well by the SEC. Mm-hmm. And like that's also a bit like they're actually banned in many of these hedge funds. Like you cannot exchange information on like messaging services because of this stuff. So
you're just saying more and more things about why I don't plan to run another big company.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is music to my ears.
Public, Eric.
This is great.
Yeah, stay private, Imad.
Keep telling me these ridiculous stories.
Yeah,
validate my decision.
I mean, it's weird how like seemingly reasonable things, like of course, like people should not be able to trade on like non-public information, create like these weird like complex second order incentives. Like I would not have thought that like you would have this whole like incentive pool around it. Presumably, even if you do have a non-public information, you can do this thing where you like schedule out a sell or a buy, right? Like
No,
you can say,
you
hey,
cannot. That
What?
changed in the last year, actually. You
but
can
the
do this
CEOs
called-
always have non-public information in their own company.
So you have to wait for a window where you don't have like basically after an earnings call, there might be like a short window, like you just announced a bunch of stuff, and then there's a small
But your
window.
head is full of non-public information.
Yeah.
Like you have a plan that you're going to do something.
It's very difficult for CEOs to sell stock. Like, it's very difficult for any executive in a public company to sell stock. You do have to go through a bunch of legal stuff, and then yes, you do have to schedule these things. But even still, you might be banned. Like your general counsel inside your company may just say you have too much information in your head. You cannot sell. So like, there's many people who exit public companies. And they haven't been able to sell anything, even though they've been there for many years.
I guess that's an incentive also to get a loan on your public stock, right?
And that's often banned too.
God damn it.
It's the same thing. Yeah,
This is
it's
an
banned.
insane system.
When we went public, that was explicitly banned. Like you cannot take credit on your shares, and that's pretty standard actually.
Wow.
I double checked on that.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely, Eric. Probably not worth going public anytime soon with Core Devices. Is that what you're calling it? Core Devices? That's
Core
the name of the company?
Devices.
You go
LLC.
coredevices.com or something?
It's repebble.com right now. Still,
Oh, really?
I got to find a good core domain.
Yeah. I do like Core Devices. It's like, core part of your life.
Center of
kind
it all.
thing. Yeah. This was awesome, Eric. I feel like we could talk for a lot longer. It's always cool to have someone
Well,
with
again,
like
we're going to have to do, we talked a lot about the future. And so in a year, we'll have to come back and talk. And then we could do some trading based on that. We'll cleanse ourselves.
Yeah, well, like short Apple or something after the podcast. Yeah, this was fun. And definitely you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. And thanks, Eric.
Thanks everyone for listening. Please leave us a review on whatever channel you're listening on. Makes a big difference to the algorithm and to the success of the show. And see you all next week.